calendar to speak with me. I know it's been a while in between then, but the good news is I've had plenty of time to do my due diligence in addition to what I've done already, and took a lot of time to learn a little bit about your company and learn about specific people and what they're thinking. So I'm really excited to kind of present to you the deck that I have today. Awesome. For just to kind of I'll go over what I had planned to do today is really to give you essentially a high level overview of the three different products that we have, and my hope is that being that you're the expert on your end, that you and I together can kind of figure out where the most immediate needs are, because I can obviously pull quarterly reports and financial reports and things that I read in the news, and there's quotes that I clearly see about what goals and objectives are, but that's a company-wide initiative. I'm more interested in what your specific initiatives are. That's a good game plan. Yeah. All right, awesome. So these are some of the companies that we work with. We really focus on two types of things that we look for. We look for people that either have a very complex sales process. Why are we here? One of the things that I personally thought that you're an amazing fit is because of the complexity of your sales process, the nature of your organization and the challenges that you face with. So complexity really starts out with let's think about all the regions that you sell into, right? The number of products that you have, the number of solutions, the number of different customer segments that I was able to pull from the various pieces of information. I couldn't figure out all the industries for sure. I couldn't pull any quotes there, but obviously the number 1,800, that represents the number of possible messaging combinations. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So that being said, I think the quote down below that, something that HP had recently told me, that pretty much resonates and sums up the challenges that not only I'm sure that you're faced with, but all the different types of software companies that are out there that are kind of on a global scale, so to speak. All right, so what can IDEO do precision? This is really going back into these are the really four main things that from what I've last spoke with you, in addition to what I've found in different media outlets that I can figure out that are really company-wide. So my hope is that I'll give you I'll do a deep dive or give you a high-level overview on my hopes that you and I together can figure out which of the three products make the most sense or are most of immediate need, if at all. Starting off with that first one, how to optimize messaging and content for each possible combination, right? So you're really, those permutations are really complex. 1,800 different permutations. Where do you start, right? How do I figure out what I should be talking about and how do I talk about it at a granular level? So we're going to help you understand where your content gaps are and where you're saturated, and help you understand how you should be talking about each specific product line or solution and how to talk about it in each area, right? Like you're in a different country, so we can help you understand where your gaps are and say on a specific product in a specific region, like in the UK. Second, how to identify a prospect's need within one interaction. So one of the most amazing things that our product is able to do is help you understand what someone's interested in the first interaction. Because we know what that is, we can build an interest profile in real time, predicated on the content that person's consuming. So essentially, as a person starts to read and consume more content, whether it be a case study, a blog, or just some web pages, or perhaps maybe an email that you sent to them, we're going to go and continuously build an interest profile on that person. So as their interests change, we're going to be able to pick up on that, and you're going to be able to have access to that, you in addition to the sales team. That third one there is delivering relevant content to each prospect. So I think this is really important, and I know this goes into the personalization piece of things that my SDR had some back and forth with your CMO, and I kind of wanted to take my hat out of the ring, but perhaps I might want to throw it back in depending on what you're looking to do. But when I was reading some of your like things online, I was watching some YouTube videos that I've kind of pulled some quotes from. I think you might be impressed. So again, delivering relevant content to each prospect, automating the approach versus suboptimal manual rules, which I believe is what some of the other things that you're looking at. We're not a rules-based system, right? And like understand not only what they're interested in a granular level, but showing that salesperson what's the best piece of content that I can manually share with that person if I should need be. And we can create some pretty unique guardrails by showing them what they're interested in and helping them understand what content to share with them or send to them with the fact, like, where they're from, what their persona is, where they are in the sales process. Those are like those four, different things that I come up with. There might be some other ones, but is that, I guess, a good starter?
Oh, yeah, no, that's perfect. That gives me, that's exactly what I wanted to kind of high levels hear about and kind of helps me formulate what I would like to see later and whatnot.
Yeah, perfect. That's kind of the objective here, because I could pull stuff, obviously, like through different media outlets and like quarterly reports and stuff, and it's all company focused. It doesn't say like, oh, this is what Jeremy's interested in. So that's kind of the purpose of this call. Hopefully, now that down. All right, so looking at our first product is customer insights, right? Helping you. The alternative today is people are spending hours a week looking at like Adobe Omniture. They're looking at Google Analytics, and they're looking at all of this information on spreadsheets and on like platforms. And what it really does is they're trying to like decode something. It's why are people downloading this thing 700 times? Why did they do this? It tells you what they did, but it's not like prescriptive. It doesn't. You're analyzing all of this information to uncover what, and the net out is what's the interest? What is somebody interested in? So we're kind of removing that layer, and we're doing that work for you. So we're understanding what all that activity is, and then we're uncovering what the interests are of individuals, and as well as the interests are of what people say a group. And I'll dive into that in a second. So first thing that I wanted to do here is kind of give you like a little of a litmus test. We went recently to a trade show, and the head of marketing operations at GE Healthcare did a pretty amazing talk. And the talk track was based upon the level of, or the amount of content that's typically wasted from those in like the complex sales enterprise companies like yourself. So I wanted to kind of give you a litmus test. What percent of content do you think is currently being wasted by GE Healthcare?
Wasted in terms of like it's not driving funnel growth or people moving down the funnel?
Being wasted, like at the end of the day, it's like waste means not people that are interacting with that. They're not reading about those topics. So if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it because it actually falls, it's the same thing. If you create content and nobody is reading it, is it actually worth anything? So they're calling it waste because no one's actually caring about it.
My guess is 30%. Ooh.
So yeah, that's actually a little bit. We were surprised to hear that too. And when they told us how much they were spending a year on content creation, it was ridiculous. So they spent over $10 million a year just with GE Healthcare alone on creating like white papers, case studies, and they're obviously a lot more extensive depending on what type of product you sell. But they spend a lot of money through third parties to create these different like white papers and case studies and whatnot. So that was really a shocker to us because our average is like 60 to 70%, nowhere near 80%. That's a completely different volume. But I thought you might appreciate that this thing. All right, still focusing on now like the value of insights, and really like the tip of the iceberg is like the Adobe Omnitures of the world and Google Analytics. They definitely have a place in every company, but what we're saying is that's the tip of the iceberg. Underneath that is like where everything is, what you need. So the first thing that we do is we analyze all of the content, which by the way I have. I'll tell you in a second. But when you take a look at your organization's content and where it's located, we're able to extract all of your content that you've ever created, whether it's through your white papers, case studies, PDFs, it's on your website, mobile site, things that you do in social, as well as things that you talk about within your email marketing campaigns. We're taking all of that content, and we're able to take every single topic that you've ever talked about and plot that on a graph like that you see here. This is a screenshot. And going vertically represents volume. Horizontally represents the number of interactions. That being said, this dotted line represents what we call the best line of content strategy. In a perfect world, and we know it's not necessarily possible, but we want all of those dots to be on that line. Anything below the dotted line is what we call a gap, a missed opportunity. People want to read about that topic, but you're not talking about it enough. Anything above that line is a saturation point. So imagine looking at this for GE Healthcare. All of these blue dots that you see underneath here, they would be more up here. And I'm sure you're thinking in your head, like, all right, so how do you get this algorithm, so to speak? It's really as simple as
those KPIs based on engagement.
Exactly. So this is the nucleus of all of our technology, and the leap of faith that you have to take is you have to assume that people are reading things that they're interested in, or they want to learn more information about. So you have to say to yourself, if I talk about Salesforce.com and the way that Idios product is integrated within Salesforce.com, you have to assume that someone's going to be reading that because that's at some point of interest to them. You're not going to say, you have to assume that people will not read things because they're not interested in it, right? Like if you buy the book Harry Potter and you read it, then you're obviously interested in Harry Potter. There might be someone who's not interested and buys it anyway, but that's an outlier.
Okay. So this is just all right. So this is simply looking at engagement of the content topics, which you're somehow crawling and aggregating from, like, crawling our website. Like, I assume we have to put tags across our site and across our content. So
That's correct.
Okay.
So I could do a content audit for you, but I can't tell you what your gaps are because I don't have because it's not, the tags aren't dropped on site. So I extracted to date 1,638,1,600 different pieces of content. So I could just literally randomly pick any one of these. And let's say social software. I'm going to click on social software. And it extracts all the topics for me. It's got the details here, all the content. And then I could also take a look at the relevance score. So social media is obviously the most important thing that's being talked about, but you're also talking about Twitter and Facebook customer engagement, but it really puts down a relevancy score. So the beauty of our product is able to determine what things are in terms of the importance based upon like how they're talking. So there's really two views. Salespeople look at this, really, but marketing are really looking at this. And at the individual level, that's the most important thing here. This is basically us having the ability to extract every single piece of content that you own and pull out all the interest topics. And then as people start to read different things, we're able to then identify what those interests are. So here's a huge piece of content, right? Imported date, source, URL. Here's all of the topics that were pulled out from it. Again, social media, ranked work, public relations, the Human Society of the United States, the Humane Society of the United States, marketing strategy, the New York Times. So it's pulling out every single interest topic. We have the largest library of topics known to man, which is 25 million.
So are we looking at public relations resources as a whole, or public relations resources that are on our website? And those are the things that people are engaging with most.
So this is I'm showing you at a very, very deep. This is the lowest level possible. This is me showing you that we can use natural language processing to extract all the topics. So right now, if I go to your site, there's people that are creating content tags. So this person, Brian Conlon, he tagged it as content marketing, right? What else does this thing talk about? It's talking about a lot of things besides content marketing, right? But he only tagged it manually with content marketing. So if I take my tool and I show you what this thing talks about, let's take a look. I just did this in real time.
Okay.
These are all those topics that are currently being talked about. It looks like a lot more than content marketing now.
Yep, exactly. Okay.
So content marketing is there, but we're talking a lot about things. Now, and here's the thing. Just the idea here that I want you to, the key takeaway here is that, one, our natural language processing can do it, right? And two, that it's the nucleus behind our free products. Because tagging content, anybody can do that. There's like programs that can do it for free. But at the end of the day, think about this. Tagging for what? So, and what we do with the ability to tag things, that's the most important part. All right, so let's go back to the deck. So far, so good, by the way?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay. So, I showed you just with our tool kind of how we tag, extract topics from each topic, right? Now, this is a very high, now we're going from the very, very bottom, right, which is one content. Now I'm giving you the highest view possible. This is all of Cision's content they ever created, right? And these are all the topics that represent that. Lead generation is a saturation point, talking too much about it. Integrated marketing, you're hitting a home run. Competitive intelligence, you got to beef it up. So that's kind of like that. And again, this is all real time. Now really we're gonna take a step down from the very high level overview that we were just doing. And we talked about like how anybody can tag content, right? People can do it, but at the end of the day, we're doing it automatically and we're doing it in minutes, right? So that's no longer a process, and the computer doesn't make mistakes. Now, one of the benefits of tagging the content, right, is really the first part, back to insights. So we can show you gaps, saturation points where you're doing well in real time. But another piece of that is, all right, well, how do we slice and dice the data? And that's kind of what I wanted to spend maybe like just a few minutes on this slide to kind of get some use cases from you. So some things that I was thinking about, and I'll kind of pretend that I'm in your shoes, and I'll give you an example of a use case. So if I were in your position, I would like to know, what does the
up on our website before they request a demo?
Exactly. So now you know what you do. If I gave you that information, I think I know that you would know what to do with that, right?
Absolutely.
You reverse engineer it.
Absolutely. So two questions on that. So you said that you could layer in industries as well. Is that coming from our data, or would that be coming from your data?
Both. We're consider us middleware, so we tap it. We plug into everything that you have. So we plug into your Salesforce. We attach to your web properties. What marketing automation system do you have?
Eloqua.
So perfect. So we plug right into Eloqua as well.
So, but for the stuff for industries that we don't have, so these are anonymous visitors to our website. Do you guys work with data providers to kind of get that data and figure out of the anonymous visitors to our website they are from these industries, or
Good question. So I'm glad you asked that. So we can tell you, like, if they're a known user within your CRM, we can do it. But we don't have the ability to do a reverse IP lookup right now that tells you that, like, somebody from Dell, right, which would cover, like, a company, that's why when I list industries, I apologize for not being like super clear here, but we're not doing like reverse IP lookup to tell you that it's someone from Dell, which is what Lead Forensics and Demandbase did.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then let's go one step deeper. So they could tell me, the interest of people requesting a demo, but since it's linked in with Salesforce, could you also theoretically tell me the content that people are moving from a lead to an opportunity? What are they engaging with, and then from opportunity to close? Could you slice
100%. Okay. 100%. So these are the types of use cases that I'm trying to remember, and hopefully that I wrote a little bit down here, but hopefully you can remember them too as we jump around. Is there any other? And I have a slide, by the way. Next, I believe it's the next one, but I kind of want to stay on here one more time so I want you to look at the different ways, slice and dice it. There's obviously a million ways. What would be another example of potentially? Because with Adobe Omniture and like Google Analytics of the world, people are doing all this paralysis by analysis to figure out what really determine like why people are converting. And the why is the most important than why people convert, but they also want to know like what individuals or groups are interested in, right? So
Yeah.
what might be another use case? Because that was a really good one.
I mean, I think that's the main one that I'm thinking of, and definitely slicing it by services. So, obviously, the main software that we sell is our PR software.
Right.
We just acquired a couple companies that are coming out with very robust social software. Um, we also have obviously PR Web like we have here, and we also have another service called Caro. And then we also have an enterprise tool called Global Global Insights. To be
Okay.
able to see the different funnel stages by the type of service or product would be interesting for us to take a look at.
All right. Funnel stages by service or product. Okay.
And then definitely size of company would matter to us. So like, what are the smaller businesses engaging with? What are the mid-market businesses engaging with? And then obviously what are the enterprise type businesses engaging with?
Okay. Perfect. I wrote that note down so the next time, because I do have 2 slides that would be able to do that, but it's definitely not like really, really granular. But I've got a really cool like funnel chart to show you about how we do it too. All right, thank you for that. That was really helpful. So this is really now continuing the conversation about like understanding exactly what motivates people to convert. So again, I'm going to stay high level. I'm not going to really show like funnel charts, but I want to show you that on the left-hand side, those who are interested in government relations products, right? Some of those government products that you had on your website and some of the other content that you create within like Google and Talking on Social. This right here is indicative of what those people look like at the group level. So going back to the reverse engineering, let's say that I said, Jeremy, I know exactly what the people are interested at the group level, right? I know exactly why all 500 people who requested more information about this product were interested in. What would you then do with that on the left-hand side if you wanted more?
If I wanted more of those people, that would inform the type of content that we're doing.
Exactly. So you would obviously do two things. One, you can create more content about that, right? And then that's insights. Now, 2, if you wanted to grease the skids, what would you do? You would put that type of content in front of that person at the right time across all of your channels, which will then segment us into our personalization product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Right-hand side, those who are interested in social media analytics tools. That's what the group profile looks like of somebody who downloaded a specific white paper on the ability for you to help those by providing them with some really cool social media analytics tools, right? And let's say it wasn't like an RFQ, but they're very, very close. They're on the 1 yard line, ready to go in. So again, reverse engineer it. Talk about those things more, right? And you can clearly see from the bubble chart whether or not there's a gap there. And it'll definitely make sense because you'll say, oh man, I got to pump out more content. I got to talk to our bloggers. I got to have them create more content that talks about these things. And then I got to make sure that I'm putting it in front of the right people at the right time within my website, within social. I got to make sure that everything's aligned here. Secondly, and this is a new thing that we're learning, and this is, by the way, I think this is like really, really, I don't even know what to say. This is like something that for me, I'm like a lot of our customers, as probably with you, they teach you new things about your products that you never thought about. And what we started to realize is that our customers software.
Okay.
So they're the company that's currently tracking all of your content. They want 80% of the topics that they talk about are topics that are currently of interest to their audience, right? The other 20% are topics that they want to take a gamble on. So they're gonna scrape all the topics from the competitors. They're gonna scrape all the topics that are being talked about in trade publications, and then they're gonna say, all right, here's all the topics that we're talking about that our audience is interested in. I know how to do that. I'm gonna do this 80% of the time. But the other 20%, I'm gonna take some gambles, right? Some people call it thought leadership content. All that's a joke in my opinion. All that really is just an excuse for you to take a gamble about what someone might be interested in, right? Thought 20% of the time, take a gamble. So Iris Software might say, okay, what is Susan talking about that we're not? from a topic perspective. And then they're going to talk about that within the next few blog pieces, maybe like a case study or white paper. And then they're going to figure out, all right, within a week or so, how has this been perceived? Do people care about these topics? Oh, they care about these, but not about those. Okay, so let's take the topics that people care about and move them back over into our strategy and lead out the rest for now. So I think it's really cool and I'll show you in a second here. So there's a couple different software companies I'm currently talking to, and each one of them that I'm talking to wants to see how they can track their competitors' content. So I'm talking to, Aflac. They're like, all right, well, can you show me how we can track American Century? I'm like, sure. Here's 109 different pieces of content they created in the last 3 days. And it's like, all right, I give you titles. I can tell you what they're talking about. I can scrape every single thing that they're talking about. So these are the types of things that American Century is talking about. We're scraping pages, PDFs, anything. I'm talking to HP, and they want to know what Citrix is talking about. So here's 1,061 different pieces of content that Citrix has been creating within the last 3 months. So as you can see, it says imported. So the second they create something and it gets posted, we pull it. The only way that we can't scrape something is if it's gated. So sales collateral, right? Does that make sense about some of those things?
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't sound like it's that amazing, so I don't want to harp on it.
No, it's definitely valuable. I mean, the first part is more valuable. We're talking about when it comes to competitors. There are other tools that show you that, but what I think is always kind of a gap there is we could see, we can use up to see what Meltwater, one of our main competitors, is writing about.
Yep.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what we should be writing about, or that we are missing that, or anything like that. You know what I mean? Just because the competitor is doing it doesn't mean that it's working.
I'm gonna quote you on that because I'm not gonna lie. 9 times out of 10, I'm not kidding. People want to know what the competitors are writing about to not trial it, but they think it's because it's correct, and they want to know what people are searching for within the universe of Google. So I'm all with it on that. That's good. All right, now we're going to shift into the insights piece. Hopefully, you can see how we're able to understand what people are interested in at an individual level, what groups or people are interested in, reverse engineering things, talking to you about the different conversion points of the people who did this. How do I get people to do more of that? Things of that nature. Now we're going to shift over into the personalization part of our product. Do you recognize this person?
I do indeed.
All right. Do you work with her regularly, or you just recognize her?
I just recognize it. She's in the Chicago office. She's more on the product side than the actual domain gen marketing. But yeah, I know her.
All right. So what is content marketing? And this is her quote. She says it's creating and distributing relevant and valuable content to attract, acquire, and engage a clearly defined and understood target audience. So there's 2 things here when you have to break this quote down. It's creating, right? When she says creating relevant and valuable content to attract, how do you make that a tangible thing? Relevant. What's relevant? And that goes back to our insights product. We're able to tell you what's relevant, not by evaluating downloads, right? Just because you download a 5-page case study doesn't you can't just determine with normal basic analytics what people are interested in at a granular level. We're going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you that specific topics within that case study, why each person did it, and what specifically are they interested in. So it's understanding those things at a granular level.
Yep, absolutely.
And then it says distributing relevant and valuable content to attract. But that's a little.
So essentially, mostly it's based on funnel stage, so where someone resides in our funnel, across our multiple properties, whether it's advertising, email, websites, everything else. We want to have clear, defined goals for each funnel stage.
Okay.
And messaging for each one. So, in a simple manner, if you are an anonymous visitor to our website, you're going to get high-level white papers and things like that based on what you're looking at on our website. But if you are an active opportunity within Salesforce, one of our sales reps, when you go to our website, you're going to see case studies front and center. You're going to see case studies in our emails and across our advertising tools.
Perfect. What and are you going to be doing that like with an in-house product, or is that something that you're doing purchasing or something that you're looking analyzing?
We have a couple of tools that we've already purchased to do a lot of that.
Okay. Which ones are they?
So obviously we're using Eloqua synced up with Salesforce for the email side.
Got it.
And Eloqua synced up with LinkedIn Lead Accelerator for our advertising, display, LinkedIn.
I think a pretty safe bet, right? Things that you have inside of Eloqua or within Salesforce. The other 95% are going to be anonymous. I can do the exact same thing where you said moving towards personalized content, right? Baked into the funnel stages and the channels missing with each other. I could do that for anonymous people.
Okay. Talk about it.
All right. So here's a group of people, and we don't know his name, we don't know how old he is, we don't know anything, right? The only thing we know is based upon the first click that they're interested in this. Now, I'm not an expert in your products, but I know you are. You probably have a good sense of what this is starting to materialize to, right? Let's call him Jim. As Jim starts to click and to read more content, we then now understand what that person's interested in, and we can create a strategy that shows the best piece of content that you have for that person in real time. So again, putting the right piece of content across all of your marketing channels. So I'm going to go ahead and give an example where I think would be an amazing area. So you have something called featured content. And rather than saying featured content, you could say, you could just say like, you could say call it personalized content. And let's assume that I went to Google, I typed in something, I landed on a blog. I read your blog, ready? I go to another piece of content. Now, we're able to dynamically put the next best piece of content within your universe of all the things that you own, whether it's gated or ungated, right, in front of that person in real time. So we're able to do the exact same thing that you're doing with final stages by doing the same exact thing for unknown users. Anonymous.
And you're able to, okay, so it's basically that word cloud on the back end, so you can say what the type of stuff they care about and show this. I guess two questions. Are you able to exclude what they've already seen?
Yes, that's done automatically.
And then how, you said you're not rules-based, so how would that work? You would just basically, based on your web crawling, you would know what next of our content they should look at, just because of what they've been looking at, and other stuff that correlates to
Exactly. So let me get out of this for a second. Let me see if I can. All right. So here's I created for somebody and I apologize to them that I don't have one specific for you because I wasn't expecting to go this deep, but you're asking good questions. So here's something that I did for Reuters. Reuters wants to now do personalized content instead of related content. And here's an example of a real person's profile. So we dropped tags and did a test. This is a person's profile, right? They're interested in these following things. Rather than do last click, we're able to then say, right now, we recommend. This gives an example of the content that IDEO would recommend to this user based on all of the content that is available. It's important to note that personalized recommendations can be filtered by various criteria, including section or date published. Therefore, if you're currently delivering personalized recommendations, they may look different to you than this. So basically what this means is we have guardrails. And one of the guardrails that you have set and told me was, don't show them something they've already seen before. So that's want to say another guardrail is don't show them anything that we've created unless it was created within the last 90 days. So that's totally up to you. But based upon this profile, out of all of the content that they have, which is millions of different articles, we're recommending this one first. So whether it's an email that Reuters sends them or a blog section that they're on, right? We're dynamically publishing this piece of content in front of that person, predicated on their current interests. These are the topics that they're consuming a lot of content on, so therefore we're going to go ahead and create content. We're going to put in front of them that next best piece of content. Now here's another thing. Another guardrail, and I think this is going to hopefully wow you. Another guardrail is this. Let's say that now we're going to do some really cool stuff with groups. So let's say that a person's profile, right, we've identified them as within field goal distance requesting a quote to see something regarding your PR software, or literally on the 30-yard line going in. We have the ability to create another guardrail that says, based upon the other 90 people who've requested a quote for us on our PR software, and we know that the last piece of content that they've read that basically got them to convert is this, put that in front of that person right now.
Okay.
So we're doing, again, so it automatically does reverse engineering, but those are guardrails that you have to set, right? Essentially, it's like we're leading a horse to water, but if you leave it up to us out of the box, we're gonna leave it as is, right? So when I say that out of the box, we're gonna understand what someone's interested in based upon the first click, the first thing that they're reading. We're able to then reverse engineer that and look at all of the other things that you have in your universe and put that piece of content in front of them. That's out of the box. But if you want to create multiple different guardrails, right, such as don't show them something or exclude what they've already seen, we can do that. But I just want to make that clear that out of the box we can do this. No rules, it automatically does it. But if you want to add some guardrails that are really, really nifty, like some reverse engineering, we can definitely set up those for you.
So not only can we just recommend content based on stuff that they're obviously interested in, we could do that, but then set the goal through video that we want them to press a demo. Video would look at the content that people have engaged with to get to that point and make kind of a combination of what they're interested in versus the way that we can move them into that, that demo position. I explained it a little bad way, but it won't make sense.
You explained it better than most. The fact that you're getting it on the first call is amazing. That's probably one of my biggest challenges. But that just shows that you're thinking in the right formula. But yeah, so you set goals. So if one of them happens to be like get people to get an RFQ for a specific product, and again, we talked about the slicing and dicing of data, right? I can tell you, right, reverse engineer, I can tell you what you need to be talking about to get people to request a quote for your PR software in the UK only. I can tell you what to do it for the US only. So we could get so granular, it's not even funny. And that's important specifically for companies like yourself who are in a lot of selling software to a lot of different people. It's challenging. I know it's challenging for IDEO, and we're the worst fit for IDEO, believe it or not, because we only have 3 products. We sell to one type of person.
No, so out of curiosity, I know that you probably don't want to talk pricing yet, but what does your pricing model look like? Is it like a flat fee for each product, or is it based on website visits? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, no. Pricing is predicated on uniques. So that's unique. For the insights, it's based on unique, people that come to your site on a monthly basis. But we're not I want to be clear that it's like not like, all right, for 451 people a month it's this price, for 500 it's this price. Like the difference is like $1 million and less, like 3 million to 1 million, 10 million to 5 million. So they're broken out substantially. And then regarding the personalization, it's the same thing.
Got it. And then you actually mentioned that you could get, I mean, obviously you put this as personalized content on the website, but you also mentioned email. So I assume that like within Eloquence, the same kind of thing, like for our blog emails that go out every day and weekly, you would just have pieces from each in that email that would dynamically populate whatever we're doing on the website would also go in that email.
Exactly.
Then there's video. So you have these profiles of people interested in everything. Where does that actually, what's that data actually reside? So does it, are we able to have it reside in Eloqua so we can associate it directly to an email address or Salesforce? Or does that all reside within video?
So, all right, good question. So, it resides within Eloqua and within IDEO. So, it's as you can see here, we give unique identifiers.
So, so once we get the script up on our website and we were going forward with it, I can see how video would make a match on the visitor, um, along with the Eloqua email address that we have there, and then obviously for anonymous visitor ID.
Exactly. It'll be just an IDEO visitor ID. But here's the kicker: we can stitch things together. So you can be an IDEO visitor ID for 3 months, and then when you convert to like submit your information to like say, get a newsletter or for an RFQ, we could funnel back to the marketing team their historic data.
Okay.
Which
So
is
yeah. So let me say, all right. Let's say we get started with video tomorrow. Would I be able, since literally most of, actually all of this visitor data is already in Eloqua. It's just you guys are just displaying it in a better way, but it lives in Eloqua. Once we plug that in, video would be able to go, look at everything and kind of get historic data on what everyone is interested in and what they've been looking at, or it would just be one. It would be collected once we got the scripts out, or could we basically backfill all the old data that we put back?
the short answer is yes. We can backfill all of the old data, historic data.
Okay. Awesome.
I apologize. I'm not able to technologically give you the how on that because this is like the questions that you're asking are really, 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 really good, and you obviously are probably putting a bunch of different use cases in your head. So I wasn't prepared. But the next call ideally would be to like for you to not only see the how, but to talk a little bit further about that from when I would bring in my application engineer. Which is
Yeah, no, I would love it. So, yeah, I think, so I'm trying to think of what to do next and how to put this in front of other people. I don't want to cut you off. You still have more to show.
Yeah, I just have one more thing, and
Okay.
so the last product is the IDEO for Salesforce, and
Oh, yeah.
you and I think this is probably, I mean, I don't know, I'm a salesperson, so I think this is like the most simplest but yet innovative thing out of all of the things that we do. And I think that deep down inside, within like 3 or 4 years, that we'll get bought out, and it'll be because of this. So we're a unique partner with Salesforce. We're a next level partner. There's literally like 71 in the world, and we're one of them. And what this quote says really sums it up: that 89% of first meetings are considered failures by executive prospects. That was done by partial research. It's because of the fact that salespeople are not prepared. Like, that's why people are hiring SDRs, because when you do a first meeting, even when I had the first one with you, we can't, like, IDEO is such a non-complex product. It's difficult because it's like, why am I talking to this person? What are they interested in? You want to get away from the fact that they just want to see what's out there from a prospect, right? And I'm sure that your salespeople go through that as well. And within my Salesforce, I have Pardot, right? You use Eloqua, and we both work off scores. So my marketing team will send my SDR an email, or they'll send me an email, and they'll be like, Sean, call up John from so-and-so. He's got a Pardot score of 6 billion. And I'm like, okay, let me look. And then I basically are looking through all of the different activities they've done, and I'm like, I throw my papers in the air. I'm like, I'm going home. This is ridiculous. I don't know what they're interested in. All you're telling me is that they downloaded these things 45 times and they looked at this. They're on my website. Like, that's not layman's terms, and it puts a lot of pressure on me as a salesperson to basically work miracles. You want me to figure out what's the common denominator of topics that every single thing that they've done, and like historically, that's not possible. So we cut through the noise, and we type right directly into the Salesforce at the leading contact level what that person is interested in. So as you can see here, this is not anything different, right? This is exactly what you and I were looking for, but it's just the way that we deliver it. We're able to tell the salesperson now directly within their Salesforce that when someone does an action and they get, they want to see what someone's interested in, I'll tell you exactly what they're interested in. They're interested in these things. Now, you probably have an idea. This was a profile. You know what that means, right? Like what product or what service would they be interested in?
So they're the interested in social software.
Exactly. Now, now, let's say that you're a salesperson, right? And you're not that good at marketing, and you don't really know all the marketing materials that that you're creating, right? You're a salesperson now. Now, wherever you are in the sales process, do you know the best piece of content to share with that person in real time? Right? So it's like, if content exists, does it actually exist if the salespeople don't know where it resides? So what we do is, we tap into not only all of the content that you've created that resides on like your web properties, emails you've sent, we tap into like gated content too, things that might be on say Dropbox or within your FTP, and we're able to recommend there on the right-hand side the best piece of content to share to that person in real time. And it's the same exact thing as we were talking about with our Engage product. It works off parameters. So Dun & Bradstreet, they wanted us to tell their salespeople what content to share based upon the following guardrails: persona, sales stage, and interest. So those are the three things. Interests are here. Persona is here, right? And those three things are what we'll be powering in here. Now, if we remove that, out of the box, we're going to say, here's the best piece of content that you guys own within your entire content universe. Go for it. But if you give us guardrails by saying interests, persona, and sales stage, we can do that. But again, that's like the most popular way that we're seeing people put guardrails on it. Very rarely does someone say, all right, tell the salesperson what the best piece of content is to share to the person, and there's no guardrails. Most people say, all right, dude, I want to do it within interests, sales stage, and persona. Some people are adding even more things after that, and you can. You can do it by country, right? Because certain people have like Cision.uk, Cision.us, so there's different pieces of content in the way that people talk. So if you wanted to, we can make the recommendation to the salesperson based upon country too. So again, I just want to basically show you that out of the box we can do it. But if you want to add guardrails, it's literally within the onboarding process. It's something that we can just basically check off and make happen for you. So those are, I'm completely done now. So I'm open for questions, and maybe I want to see like from you what your thoughts are, and kind of like.
No, I like all of it. I think the next step would be great is to get I think seeing the first two, obviously I forget the names of all of them, but the first one that shows us basically how much content we're creating, insights. The second part, I guess the personalization stuff. I think those are the two that we should start with and bring in a bigger crowd to take a look at. Obviously, I want to bring in the content team, our SEO manager, and then see if we can get our CMO in the room as well. I think I buy into the sales thing. What I need to do, I think a better starting point though is the first two products.
Okay, fair enough.
Now, when it comes to the sales tool, I already know the things that, like, I buy into this, but what the problem will be is, are the sales reps actually going to take the time to use it? Which is always, it comes up, so I need to talk to the head of sales people and see what their thoughts are on it. But I think in terms of the next meeting, we'll hit more of a marketing people around. Let's focus on those first two products.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And there's a couple ways that we can do it, right? So ideally, in a perfect world, like since it sounds like that you want to explore further, like ideally, in the way that I've had a lot of success in terms of like closing deals, to be quite honest, is if we put our heads together and put like a business plan. So like saying like, all right, Sean, these are the things that I want to do. These are the things, or I should say, these are the things that I need to do. These are the ones I want to address right now. You know, this is like more of the needs of the immediate future. So if you can do these things, then I have some sort of intent to buy, or my people have an intent to buy. So, and I kind of have a couple of them down, but I'll send them to you. But maybe you can just tack on to that. This way, that when we do our next call, I will make everything completely customized. And when we do the intro, the first thing I will say is, thank everyone for their time, and I'll let everyone know that you and I had spoke, and that these are the things that we're going to cover in the call. And the objective for me is to show you that we can do it, and that this is how we do it, and then obviously open up for Q&A in between and after.
So I think the next crowd would be, it would be half technical people that are like a CMO is technical and a SEO manager is obviously very technical. And they'll be very much into like how does this work, how does this do this and that. Whereas the director of PR and our content marketing manager, who are really the ones, creating the content in charge of that, I think what they're going to want to see too is how, from a less technical way, how you can help inform what they're doing and why they're doing the things that they're doing. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so basically the same conversation that you and I had today, minus the tech talk that you were bringing up, and then for the technical people, a little bit more